نصلي على رسوله الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي. ربي يسر ولا تؤسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح ربي زدني علما. اللهم إني أسألك رضاك، اللهم إني أسألك العافية. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, Alhamdulillah, we are learning the lessons from Surah Baqarah, and today we are going to cover ayat 227, 228, and 229. These are the ayat related to the divorce, and these are the beginning of ayat, and we'll be covering the ayat related to divorce from Surah Baqarah in these 3 weeks. And then they are covered at other times in the Quran as well. For example, Surah Talaq, and there's a whole surah called Surah Talaq, and at other places too, and there are hadith and everything related to. But today we'll be just covering these three ayat, inshallah. So let's go over the word by word meaning first. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim.
وإن عزم الطلاق فإن الله سميع عليم.
وإن, and if. Wa is and in is if. Azamu, they resolve, they make a intention to do something, they make a firm resolution that I'm going to do this. And what do they resolve? And they is plural, right? So they resolve, as in the both husband and the wife, they resolve at-talaqa, they resolve towards the divorce, on divorce. Fa inna allaha, fa then or so, inna is indeed, certainly, there is no doubt about it, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Sami'un Ali. Sami'un, Samat is to listen, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name is As-Sami'. So Sami'un, the one who hears everything, the all-hearing. Alimun, and he is the all-knowing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's two names, As-Sami' and Al-Alim. And here and previous ayat that we covered last week, it was talking about Ila, that when a husband basically is upset with his wife and he says that he will be away for her, like as in they will not be intimate for a certain period of time, and then he's allowed to do that, but the maximum duration and for a valid reason, of course, and you cannot play with the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the things like that. But if there is a valid reason, if she's generally done something, then don't just go towards a divorce. And then sometimes some people are angry, then give yourself time to cool off. And we learned about that, Ila, and this is continuing from that supposing it does not work out and they do decide that they do need to separate, and even after Ila they are not the 4 months are about to pass and they think that it definitely won't work out, then whatever they're deciding and whatever they're doing, then if they do decide on it, then indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all hearing, all knowing. He knows what is in the heart and he knows what people are saying. So don't say something and then pretend that you haven't said it and that sort of stuff. We'll cover in more detail later. Then ayah 228. Bismillah.
والمطلقات يتربصن بأنفسهن 3 قروء ولا يحل لهن أن يكتمن ما خلق الله في أرحامهن إن كن يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر وبعولتهن أحق بردهن في ذلك إن أرادوا إصلاحا ولهن مثل الذي عليهن بالمعروف وللرجال عليهن درجة والله عزيز حكيم.
والمطلقات, mutallaqat is the woman who has been divorced, who is divorced. So wal mutallaqatu, and the women who have been divorced, yatarabbasna, they shall wait, bi anfusihinna, concerning themselves. Anfus from nafs is the self, and anfusihinna, their own self. So they shall wait concerning themselves thalathata quru'in, 3 months. Uh, so they'll wait concerning themselves, as in they will not remarry for those 3 months. When a woman has been divorced, then she cannot remarry, and she should observe her iddah, and for 3 months. Wala yahillu, and it is not yahillu, lawful, from halal, the same root as halal, ha, lam, and lam. So wala yahillu, it is not lawful, lahunna, lam is for, hunna is them, ladies. So lahunna, for them. So it is not lawful for them, and that yaktumna, katama, to hide something, and it is not, and to conceal something. So it is not lawful for them that they conceal ma khalaqallahu. What? Ma is what? Khalaqallahu. Khalaqa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates. He's a khaliq. He creates, right? Khalaqa is what he has been created. Ma khalaqallahu. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. Fi arhamihinna. Fi, in, arhamihinna, from raham. Raham is the inside lining of the womb of a lady, and so basically the inside of the uterus, and whatever is inside the raham, meaning if she's pregnant and if there is a baby, and maybe it's an early stage and nobody can tell that she's pregnant, but she knows that she's pregnant, then she is not allowed to hide it. That she needs to, in case they have decided to divorce, then it is not lawful for them to hide it, because the guy is a father and he needs to know that she is pregnant, and it might change their decisions and everything. In kunna, if they, kunna is for females, if they, yu'minna, they believe, from iman, hamza, mim, and nun. Yu'minna, if they believe, billahi, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wal yawmil akhir, and in the day, yawm is day, yawm al-akhir, akhir is last. And if they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and last day, then they should not be the ones that they hide these things. This does not suit a believer to do this kind of a thing. وَبُغَوْلَتُهُنَّ, and their husbands, they have a better right, بِرَدِّهِنَّ, to take them back, fi dhalika, in that period, meaning this period of 3 months. When there is this period of 3 months, then the husbands have a right to take them back. In aradu, if they wish, islahan, for islah, for reconciliation, for a better thing. So they're not allowed to take them back for any other reason except that they genuinely want things to work and they want good for them, for the lady as well as themselves. They don't have any ulterior motives behind this. Walahunna, and for them, as in the wives, mithlu. Mathala is for something that is like something. Like we say, this example is like this example. And we've done this previously in Surah. Walahunna mithlu, and for them, that is wives, is the like, alladhi, of that which, alayhinna, on them, bil ma'ruf, in a reasonable manner. As in, the rights that are there for a husband, the same similar rights are there for the wife as well. It's not that just the husband has all the rights and wife does not have all the rights. The wife also has rights similar to that of a walil rijali, and for the men, alayhinna, over the wives, daraja, is 1 degree. And what is that 1 degree? That they can do ruju, while a wife cannot do ruju. So they have that 1 degree over them. And there's a different way, and we'll talk in more detail about how a man can go for a divorce and how a woman can go for a divorce. There's a different way, and for a man, it is he has the more control. Allah Ta'ala has given him slightly more control, 1 degree more in that sense. Otherwise, both of them have their own rights. Wallahu Azizun Hakim, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is almighty and all wise. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that divorced women remain in waiting for 3 periods, as in the 3 monthly cycles when they have their periods, and or if it is a very young woman whose periods have not yet started, then it will be 3 months. Or if there is a lady who has crossed menopause and there are no more periods, then it will be 3 months. And it is not lawful for them to conceal what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in their wombs if they believe in Allah and the last day. And their husbands have more right to take them back in this period if they want reconciliation. And due to the wives is similar to what is expected of them. They have responsibilities and they also have rights according to what is reasonable. But the men have a degree over them in responsibility and authority, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is exalted in might and wise. And then
الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان ولا يحل لكم أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن شيئا إلا أن يخافا ألا يقيما حدود الله فإن خفتم ألا يقيما حدود الله فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به تلك حدود الله فلا تعتدوها ومن يتعد حدود الله فأولئك هم الظالمون.
Talaqu marratan. That the divorce is marratan for two period of times, as in the talaq which can be revoked is only twice. Fa'imsakun, then to retain, as in not to have the divorce and to take them back. Bil ma'arufin, in a reasonable manner, is a nice and a manner that is well known and in a reasonable, just manner. Aw tasrihun, or to release her. Be ihsan, with kindness, with ihsan. Ihsan is like the best of something, the most beautiful way of doing something, the way that is with kindness. The way here it would be interpreted more as with kindness, because if you let her go, then let her go with kindness. Don't be mean to each other. Don't say things to her, and don't be nasty to her or anything. Do it in a nice manner. She has been with you for a while and she has been your wife, so even if it didn't work out, that doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve respect and everything. So deal with her with kindness. Wala yahillu, and it is not lawful lakum, for you, an that ta'khudu. So now it is being addressed to the men. In the previous ayat was being addressed to the women. Now the men are being addressed, and we know this by kum. Kum refers to all of you men, or men and women combined as well. And kunna refers to, which is in the previous ayat, that refers to women. So lakum, for all of you, and that ta'khudhu, you take back, mimma comes from two words, min and ma, whatever, ataytumuhunna, that you have given your wives, shay'an, anything, illa, except, an, if, yakhafa, they both fear, Allah, that not, yuqima, that they will be able to keep something qiyam, right? Like we say, iqam salah, right? And we have qiyam, and qiyam is from the same root, and so when we do qiyam, what are we doing? We're standing upright and we're keeping something in a certain place and everything. So yuqima, that they both can keep hududullah, that they can keep the hudud of Allah. So here they have given them refers to the meher, that it is not lawful for them to take back the meher. If they are divorcing their wives, then they don't take back their meher that they've given them, except if both of them agree on this and there's some mutual property or something, and they both agree that if they keep interacting, they won't be able to keep the hudud of Allah, like they won't be either able to be nice to each other, or it will lead to complication or whatever. And if they both of them decide, and the wife cannot be forced, if both of them decide, then it's okay. Then there is no sin on them that they decide that okay, she will let it go or whatever, but she can't be forced to give it back. Fine. But if khiftum, you fear Allah, that not yuqima hudud Allahi, that you cannot keep the hudud of Allah, the limits of Allah, fala junaha alayhima, then there is no sin on both of them. Hima refers to both of them. So alayhima, on both of them. That there is no sin on both of them. Fima, in what? Fi is in, ma what? In what? If that she ransoms bihi, concerning it. That she gives it out of her will. Tilka hududullahi, these are the limits of Allah. Fala ta'taduha, then do not transgress them. Ha refers to the hudud of Allah, that don't transgress them, don't transgress these limits of Allah. Allah Ta'ala has given limits and don't transgress them. وَمَن يَتَعَدَّ, and whoever transgresses hududullahi, the limits that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has given us, the laws or the limits that He has given us, فَأُولَٰئِكَ, then those whom they are, who are they? They are al-zalimun, they are the wrongdoers. So what this is telling us is divorce is twice in 2 period of times, then either keep her in an acceptable manner or release her with good treatment. and it is not lawful for you to take anything of what you have given them unless both fear that they will not be able to keep within the limits of Allah. But if you fear that they will not keep within the limits of Allah, then there is no blame upon either of them concerning that by which she ransoms herself. That she wants out of this marriage as well, and she's like, okay, take this, I don't want it, and she wants to get her khula basically, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. These are the limits of Allah, so do not transgress them. And whoever transgress the limits of Allah, then it is those who are the wrongdoers. So inshallah, we'll go in a little bit more detail about these ayat. May Allah Ta'ala help us to say these in the right way and to understand these in the right way. So till now, if we think about it, that in earlier times, and we compare it to the times before Islam and at the time of Islam, what did Islam do and how did Islam change things, especially in terms of families and marriages and everything? Earlier time, there were two extremes. One was that they consider marriage to be like a bond that can never be broken. So, for example, if a man would die, in many cultures, they would have the practice of sati, as in the when man would die and the woman would jump into the fire and burn themselves, as in like they feel that they don't need to live anymore, and the society didn't think of anything more. In a lot of cases, women were not considered as individuals in their own right. They were considered as property, and let alone having any property in their own hands. They were considered as a property that belonged to the man, and they were so much so that even they were like, they didn't feel any guilt when they felt that even if the baby girls were killed and buried and everything, they didn't feel any guilt. They considered it as a kind of honor, that they didn't think that they are the same level of human beings as men are. And we know from a lot of places in history different practices that were going on in around different places, right? And so even in Catholic faith, divorce was not allowed. Everything Jews had, on the other hand, made it very easy, super easy to to have divorce, and they had, and again, in the ways that they did things, again the women used to suffer. And sometimes the different practices that we know of that around the world, at different places, that for example, if a person died, then his wife, his brothers or would inherit that wife, and they could either marry her, whether she likes it or not. She has to marry the brother, or she will be sold as a slave, or she'll be done, like, basically it was not, she became a property of the brothers, or of the next brother in line or something. And there are different practices all over the world, and we're all aware of them. And then we can, if we just simply Google even, and then we can find out in more than 1500, and even in modern Europe, in until very recently, the kind of things that were given for women. And so the whole concept of marriage had very different connotations. What Islam did was, if we understand that the darkness that the world was in at that time with respect to the condition of women, and also with respect to particularly of marriages, the different kind of marriages, and different kind of marriages that happen. And one was kind of marriage was, which is Islamic marriage even now, but there were many other kind of marriages. And there were things like, a man would send his wife to somebody who was very well known, or known as very pious in the community, and they would, because they wanted a child who would have good characteristics. And and the man would then say, this is my son and everything, and they would consider nothing about this practice, as in basically making your wife do zina on or everything. And there'll be things like like swapping of wives and things like that. There are many things, and if we look up, we can find a lot of things. But what Islam did was, Islam taught us that marriage is a part of our deen. Marriage is half of our deen, and our purpose of marriage is that we complete each other's deen, we help each other in our deen, and we work together to create a society, human beings. And our main purpose here is to also raise human beings in an environment that they are close to God. And so one of the main purposes of a family is to do tarbiyah of the children, to bring up the children and to take care of them, and also for a man and a wife to be together and to protect them from zina, and to protect them from anything, to have a legitimate way of fulfilling their desires, yes, and taking care of them, each other at the same time, and not falling into any sin. So that's the main. Those are the main purposes of marriage, and the life partners, in the sense that they help each other when one person's iman is a bit low, then the other helps them, and when the other person's iman is a bit low, the other help them. They encourage each other towards good deeds. They do things together. They pray together. They learn together. They do different things together, and so marriage has a very important position. But at the same time, human beings are a different kind, and some people get along well. Some people get along most of the time, but they have some differences, right? So some people get along like 80%. Nobody gets along, first of all, 100%. No, there is the ideal utopic marriage does not exist, right? If we are practical, and if we understand there is no single couple, or even no two people in any relationship who are completely 100% synced with each other. Like, even if we were best of friends, if we were to live with them for a little while, there'll be differences of how we do things, and how we where we put our things, and how we do little things, and we do push each other's buttons, and we do irritate each other's on a little thing. So that is a part of life. But the thing is, and for a normal marriage, there are some things here and there that we agree on, and there's some things that we don't agree on. And then when we try to work around with sabr, and one of the things that is said for a marriage in Islam is marriage is sadaqah, right? So sadaqah, what do we do with the sadaqah? Sadaqah, we give something, and when we give a sadaqah to anybody, what happens is we are not expecting the result right away, and but we are sure that Allah Ta'ala will reward us for it. So what it means is, when I have, so if supposing if I have $10 and I give $5 of them in sadaqah, I know, potentially speaking, if I look at my wallet, I had $10, now I have five. But when I have belief in Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, I know that what $5 I have given, Allah Ta'ala will give me back much more in this world and in the next. Inshallah ta'ala, that Allah sadaqah does not decrease anything. And in marriages, what is the sadaqah in marriages? When we are patient with each other, when we are irritated but we are still smiling and taking care of each other, when somebody does, and both partners sometimes do something wrong, or hurt each other, which is normal part of life, then we apologize, or we do things to mend our relationships. And so it's a normal, healthy day-to-day process for any marriage. But there's some people who do not get along at all, and that is like they have 90%, 95% differences, and they just can't get along. They've tried, they do things, and they just can't see eye to eye. Their way of living life is very different and everything, and that does happen. That happens with a lot of people. And even in the time of Sahabas, there were people who were the best of people. So for example, one of our mother of the believers, Zainab radiallahu anha, she was married to Zayd radiallahu anhu, and both of them have a very high status, because Zainab was our mother. She later married the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and her nikah to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was conducted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, right? And Zayd radiallahu anhu was the person who was, he's the only Sahaba by name mentioned in the Quran. Right? So he has a very high status as well, and he was very beloved to the Prophet ﷺ as well. So, but they were of a very different social background, and they were both very pious. They were very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Both were very well known. But Zainab radiallahu, she belonged to a very well off, where she was a Qurayshi. She belonged to a Qurayshi family, and basically the royalty, you can say. She belonged to that kind of a family. And Zayd was a freed slave and everything. And their choices and their ways of doing things, they belong to different social status of the society. And obviously we can understand that a lot of things were not very similar, and they could not get along in that sense. They could not continue. And then they did have a divorce. So it teaches us that Islam doesn't just teach us about marriage and the importance of marriage, but it also shows that it's not something that you're stuck with forever if it doesn't work, if it is that stage. So again, a normal, healthy differences of opinion and differences of ways of doing things, and a little bit of here and there, even 50% here and there, is normal. It's okay. But when people cannot see eye to eye at all, and they're living together, it's creating more trouble than for them to separate and go their own ways. Then Islam provides that way of getting out as well. And so if we think of talaq in Islam, then it's like an emergency door. right? It's an emergency exit, which is not to be used in normal circumstances. But if it is needed, then somebody, and if there is an abusive marriage, if there is things like not working out at all or something, then there are ways to get out of it as well. And it's not, somebody's not stuck in it forever, in that sense that once you're married, that's it, it's done. No, it can be done. And there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ to the effect of that among the lawful things, the most unliked thing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is divorce. So it is allowed, but it is to be avoided as much as possible. So don't go to that. So we don't go to the emergency door unless there is an emergency, right? So if it is needed and there is a reason for it and everything, then that can be taken, but it is not something preferred, it's not something liked. It is the best to try to work on marriages and everything, right? And so Islam, and like everything else, Islam does not promote extremes of any kind. And one way of talaq, one way of separation that we learned before was ila, that we learned before in the previous ayah last week, that it is a special kind of qasam that a person takes an oath on by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I won't maintain relationship with my wife, I won't be intimate with my wife, and I'm very upset with her or whatever, and I don't want to be with her, and I will not be intimate with her for a period of, he has a period of 4 months to decide. Now if he has that time, then he has four months to decide. And if he doesn't decide in 4 months, then either and there's a difference of opinion what happens after that. Either the matter is taken to an Islamic court, or it's automatically divorce happens, or automatically divorce happens, but there is a chance of review. But that is something for a faqih to decide. Like again, in these matters, when we are learning these ayat, we have to understand that this is general information and everything for anybody who needs to know, for the normal people in normal circumstances, that we need to be aware of what things are and how Islam approaches these topics. But in very specific situations, this learning about some ayat about divorce and everything does not make us an expert in fiqh. Just like if somebody has known about marriage and done a lot of courses on marriage and divorce, they don't become a lawyer. They don't become, for that they need to go to a lawyer, right? If there is a specific case, they need to go to a lawyer. So one thing, a disclaimer, if we say before we go ahead on talking more about the talaq and everything, is we are learning the general guidelines, but for very specific cases, we must consult somebody if anybody is going through, or anybody's loved one is going through a particular case, especially related to marriage. It's a very big deal in Islam. Then we should consider somebody who's very knowledgeable, who has studied fiqh, and who is qualified to give fiqh opinions, right? And what it means by fiqh opinions is they've studied the whole of the Quran, they've studied hadith and they've reached a certain level where they've studied all of a majority of hadith and everything, and then they can give a balanced opinion based on that. And they have studied with teachers, and they've got those ijazat to give a fatwa. So we are not qualified. Anybody who's learning these are not basically allowed to go and give fatwas. And we can consult and we can learn more from different other books as well about hadith, about divorce, and there are many other books available. But it is not needed in a normal sense. And anybody who needs, only two kind of people would need it. One person who's actually going through a situation that they want to find out what should they do in that situation, and the second person is who's learning to be a person of fiqh, who's learning to be a person who can give fatwa, who's on the journey to higher ilm and scholarship, right? So then obviously they need to go and consult all these books and learn more. But inshallah ta'ala, when we learn from the Quran, we get a general idea how does Islam approach these topics. So here, when somebody, so after the 4 months is completed and this limit is done and everything, or even if the 4 months, the ila was not taken, and somebody decides to take a divorce, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, and he knows what a person is intending, what a person is saying, and what a person is not saying, right? So the thing is, somebody might say something to his wife in privacy and then say, oh no, I never said it, right? But the thing is, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that don't think that Allah doesn't know. People might not know what you said or did, and she might not have any people around her or anybody other as witnesses and everything, but Allah knows. So if you are a believer, then fear Allah. This is like it's like a warning for us that don't be like this, that don't use oaths. First of all, oaths, we're not allowed to take oath by anybody else's name other than Allah's name. And then when you're taking an oath in Allah's name, don't use them as an excuse to violate other person's right or to oppress somebody else. And typically speaking, men have a little bit more advantage. So typically speaking, we come across instances of women who have been oppressed a lot more, especially in our India and Pakistan culture and a lot of other places. So it is easy to do for a person, but then don't be like that, that you make your wife laugh from one eye and like cry from the other eye. That's not that's not something that a Muslim should be doing, right? And another thing is that to be upset with each other and to not talk to each other for a little while when you're angry, that's not ila. Ila is something when a proper promise is made that that somebody swears by Allah that they are not going to be intimate with their wife, they're not going to be together in bed for a certain period of time, right? And which is the maximum period for um, 4 months for that period of time. And after 4 months, the wife has a right to ask for khula or divorce. So divorce is something, there's a difference between talaq and khula. Talaq is initiated by a man, and when he initiates the talaq, he cannot ask back for the gifts that he has given. Khula is initiated by a wife, and because she is the one who doesn't want him anymore, and in khula, therefore the man does not have the option to ruju, right? In divorce, man has the option, but woman does not have the option to say that you have to take me back, right? Like when the iddat is going on, it is the man's decision to make. When she takes a khula, then the man cannot do ruju because it is her decision to separate, and she is the one who can like it is her decision to make. And in khula, the iddat is different, which is 1 month, which we'll learn later on in the ayat next week or the week after. And we know that many times in divorce and khula, things get ugly, and there's a lot of blame game going on. He did this, she did this, and sometimes families get involved, and sometimes a lot of things going on. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds the believers that He hears everything and He knows everything. So even if you say that she said this, she did this, and she did not do it, and you're trying to just make a case for yourself that you're trying to make an image that like she was not a good person or whatever, creating rumors about her or saying things that are unjust, then remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is the truth. And if it is also warning for a man that if he leaves his wife on some unreasonable ground, that remember Allah ta'ala is hearing and He's watching it, right? And if somebody's made even an intention in their heart but they haven't verbalized it, then Allah ta'ala knows that as well. Then in the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that talaq is twice. The women who are divorced, they shall wait concerning themselves for 3 monthly periods, right? And during this iddat of 3 months, like we said before, that this will be three monthly cycles that she has, 3 periods that she has. So if somebody's habit is they get a period in 40 days, then it will not be exactly 3 months, it will be more. And somebody who gets their periods in like 20 days, it might be less than 3 months. So it will go by the head, by the monthly cycle, by the menstrual cycle that the lady has. So what is the correct way of taking a divorce in Islam? So let's just understand that. What is the recommended way of having a divorce? The recommended way, when a man wants to give his wife divorce, then he has to wait till she has a period, and then after she has had her period, then without having any relationship with her after her period, he pronounces one talaq, right? And and then once he says that, then there is a waiting period for the wife for 3 months when he said talaq, which is when she'll wait for one cycle. Then once she has a period, then those period go away, and she'll have another cycle, and then this period happen, then that goes away. Then she has the third period, right? And then when her iddat is over, then it is the talaq is final. Like if he does not take her back in that period, he has the time to say that I can take you back. But if he doesn't, then those 3 periods have passed, then khalas, talaq is done. Now he cannot take her back like that. But if he has said only one talaq, then they can remarry. They can marry. They don't need to. There's no need for halala. There's no need for anything else. If only one talaq has taken place, he has only said it once, then he can still take her back, and they can get married again even after they've had a divorce. And for example, what happens is they have a divorce, and they so this waiting period passes, three period the period of 3 monthly periods passes, and he doesn't do ruju and everything, and the talaq is done. And then after they're separated, then he realizes, and when he starts living on his own, he realizes, no, actually she she used to take care of me a lot, and actually I wasn't just in that. And they both start thinking about things that, okay, I was wrong here and I was wrong there, and they start reflecting and they start missing each other. And while they were so angry with each other, they didn't see that there were things about each other that they were happy about and they liked as well. Because when it's a human nature that when you are in a negative phase, you only think negative, negative, negative. Right? They were not thinking anything positive. So when they are away now, the time of ruju has gone, the 3 periods gone, the time of ruju is finished. He cannot just take her back. It's not that anymore. Now it will have to be a fresh marriage proposal. He'll have to send her a proposal. They'll have to get married. There'll have to be a walima. There has to be everything all over again, right? So it is not the thing. Now when they start living together, and they get married again and everything, and whatever happens, and then they after a period of time passes and they start fighting again. Now what happens? Now if he thinks, no, khalas, I'm going to separate once, I'm going to separate from her, this is nothing, and he says talaq to her again. Again, he's supposed to say one time, right? The correct way is, again, follow the same procedure. Say it one time, wait for her period, wait for her iddat to finish and everything. Iddat finishes. During the iddat, he has still the option. But now this is his second chance. This is not his first chance. It doesn't, because they got married again, it doesn't go back to the first chance. This is a second and final chance now, right? So when he can do ruju in all these 3 period of time and then finish, we're not divorcing, it's fine. Or if the period passes and he didn't do ruju, again, they're divorced now. Now, if he wants to get married, he has to send her a proposal. She has to accept. They have to do walima. They have to do whatever else. He has to give a meher and everything. Everything has to be done like a fresh nikah and everything. But now, because the 2 chances have passed, now if he does anything, now if he says talaq, khalas, it's done. Now they cannot. So this is the 3 talaq, right? So talaq is which can be revoked is only twice. Third time, Allah Ta'ala does not give him any more chances. This is all the chances you're going to get. If you're going to be nice to her or not nice to her, you have to be decided. So these are this is the iddat, the period of iddat in which she basically, and in the period of iddat, the husband has to still take care of his wife. The first 2 talaq, when the iddat is there, he does not like, you say talaq and you expel her from the whole house. No, her waiting period, the husband he's still her husband. The talaq has not taken place. So in this 3 period, he is going to take care of her financial needs. He's going to take care of her food and clothing and everything. He's going to still spend on her. She's still going to dress up how she wants, and she can try in her own ways to please him and everything. They're still married. They're still considered married. But if he comes back to her, if he takes her back or everything, then obviously the divorce is nullified. But it counts as one strike. So it's like, if you think about it, like, like when we in our computers and devices, when you put password once, you put a wrong password, it's like, okay, you've got one more chance. Second password, okay, one more chance. Third password, okay, now it's locked. Now you can't do anything. So you have a limited number of chances, right? That's what it means by 3 talaq. And people have created a lot of misconceptions about this, and unfortunately a lot of Muslims also don't know. And may Allah Ta'ala give us the right understanding and everything. And there are other things as well we'll cover in a few minutes. So in these 3 months, first of all, what is when she's on her iddat, what is a woman allowed to do and not allowed to do? Why is Allah Ta'ala saying that stop yourself from they shall wait and they should stop themselves? That is, they shall not marry again. In this time, they're still married to this guy. The divorce has not taken place. They're not allowed to, the divorce is not yet finalized, so they're not allowed to give a marriage proposal or receive a marriage proposal from somebody else and get married again or somebody else. And again, there could be different reasons for a person wanting talaq, right? There are men who have who might not have very good character, and there's also women who we know might not have a very good character. And that might be the reason why the man is taking divorce. It could be tons of reasons why a divorce is happening, and different people, different things happening. But she's not allowed to consider or marry anybody else during her iddat. And after iddat is over, she's divorced and she's a free woman. She can choose whom she wants and how she wants it. Another thing here is that Allah Ta'ala is telling us that in this time, don't hide your pregnancy. If pregnancy is there, now normal iddat is 3 months. But in case there's a pregnancy, like the person said divorce and she was pregnant, first of all, it is not it is makruh. It is not liked that a person gives divorce to his wife when she is on her cycle. He has to wait after she has finished her cycle. She's already going through certain turmoil and emotional disturbance and mood swings and this and that. This is not the right time. She's going through pain. She's going through discomfort. So it is not. Although a divorce will happen if a man gives it, but it is not. It is not something that is liked. If somebody wants to give a divorce, then you should not, that man should not give a divorce while she's on her monthly cycle. She has to wait until she's free of her cycle. Also, it is not liked to give a divorce to someone when she's pregnant. Although if a person does give um, a divorce while she's pregnant, then it will count as a divorce. It will still happen, but it is not something that should be done. It's not something liked. It is makruh. It is not. It's not something that is invalid, but it is not liked. And if a woman is pregnant, and then how much will her iddat be? Her iddat will change then. Now it will not be 3 periods. It will be for her length of pregnancy. When she gives birth to her baby, till that time is her iddat. And she might be 8 months pregnant and she might give birth to a child in 1 month later. Then her iddat will end 1 month later. If she has just been pregnant and just 2 months have passed and 7 months are left, then her iddat will be 7 months. So anybody who's pregnant, her iddat changes to until the time she gives birth to the baby, right? And um, if she is pregnant and nobody else knows about it, then it is not allowed. It is not allowed. It is not befitting, and it is not halal. It is haram for a lady to hide her pregnancy from the father, because the father, the her husband, he's still her husband, and he has a responsibility. In As we know in Islam, the financial responsibility of a child rests on the father, not the mother, right? And it is his responsibility to take care of the child and his needs and or his or her needs and everything. And so she should not hide that pregnancy, because again, things might change by this. Another thing is, just by saying talaq is not finalized and done. There is a waiting period involved, and if he apologizes, then it is all good. But obviously, like we said before, if he does that again and again, then he has just 3 chances. He's not going to have unlimited chances with her, and he cannot do that. And uh, there's a hadith to the effect of the Prophet ﷺ told us, the best person is the one who's the best to their family. Right? And when the person is your family, whether it's a man or a woman, then we are best to our families and we behave in a best way and everything. And both men and women have rights and responsibilities towards each other when they are in a marriage. And only one level is there which is given to a man extra, which is that he can give talaq. And a talaq which is given whether jokingly or whether in anger or whether frustrated, or he didn't intend, he just said it will still count as a talaq. So men who are Muslims, they are taught from the very beginning that your word matters a lot. So you have to make sure that you don't say this word, because if you say it, it is done. It will happen. And then there's a waiting period involved and whatever else. So even if you said it, so these are not the things that people should joke about or just talk about for no reason. Like, these are the topics that should be generally avoided. And a man should also not threaten his wife. It's not nice to do that and everything. So he's allowed to give talaq, but then that permission also has a huge responsibility, that he can't just speak things. He has to have a solid control. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows whom he has created. Men and women are very different. He knows whom he has created. Allah, women are, like women are, and we know it about ourselves, that we are very emotional creatures, and we say things sometimes when we are upset or angry that we don't really mean. And it is more common in women to say and do things that they don't really mean when they're very, very upset or very, very sad or very, very angry. And generally, men would draw a line when men are able to not basically flow in their emotions so much. Right? Allah Ta'ala has given them a slightly more, because if we think about it, if every woman had this right to just say and get the divorce, and then what would happen? Some of the scholars say that every woman would have given divorce on the delivery bed when she's delivering a baby and she's going through the pangs of the child pain. Then women are saying things and they're like, okay, you are the one who made me go through this and that and whatever, and I'm the only one suffering in this. So a lot of women would have said this while they did not mean it. So when they're going through extreme pain, or when they're going through extreme mood swings, or And again, what it teaches us is that when um, we should also understand that when Allah Ta'ala has given a man this right, then we should not provoke it so much. As in that, if we want to stay married, and one of our teachers they say that if you don't want to break certain utensils, then don't keep throwing it on the floor again and again, right? So what it means is, if you want your marriage to last, then they don't push it so far, right? Don't push it so much, and know what you're doing, because a lot of somebody who is a lot of very hungry or very tired or like very sleepy, then they're irritable. And when we know that about our spouses, that when they're irritable and everything, then don't irritate them more. Just take care of their needs, right? A man, and also they say that one thing that changes people is or change makes them act in a way that they don't like to act is it halts their mind is HALT. One of the things I read somewhere which was so nice, were very meaningful, was HALT, and they use an acronym when they're hungry. H for hungry, A for angry, L for feeling lonely, or T for tired. When anybody is like extremes of these four, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, then it just halts their mind. They don't act rationally or how they would act otherwise. So when we come across, when we ourselves are in that phase, that we are super hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, or whether we know that our husbands are in that phase, then be a bit more accepting at that time, and try not to engage too much in um, negativity or bring up topics that are generally friction between the two of us or anything. Be a bit wise in that sense, that don't push your marriages in that sense. And if you want to keep them intact, then try your best to keep them intact. Don't push the boundaries so much, because if they say it, even in anger or something, if some man is like that, that he has not too much control over his mouth, then the wife should know that, okay, my husband's like that, and I should so whatever we have, and every person's personality is different, but when we know the personality of our husbands, and Allah Ta'ala has made us made women very we have we are delicate in the sense, and then even our body we have curves, and even our personality we have curves, as in we can adjust a little bit more. Women are more flexible in that sense, and that's the superpower, if you say, that Allah Ta'ala has given women, that we can adjust ourselves a little bit more, right? And so we should utilize it to our advantage. We should utilize it for the right purpose, as in, when we understand this, then we understand that both of us, both man and women, are a bit different. They have their own rights and responsibilities, and Allah Ta'ala has made us different for a purpose. Even biologically we are different, physically we are different, our temperaments are very different, our desires are very different. And for example, if we see a chair and a table, right? If the chair and table both are at the same level, then we can't sit and eat or do anything. Like, the chair has to be a little bit, slightly at the at the level a little bit below the table, so that you can sit comfortably and eat. Right? This is how it works. And to make something work, different things come together and work like that. And supposing there's a tree, and the roots and the trunk, they start fighting with each other, the trunk will not be able to survive, right? They have to work in coordination with each other, right? And and things that are there in our lives, and different people, again, like we say, have different personalities, even other than man and woman. Every individual has their own personality as well. But some things are in nature, like, for example, gravity. Everyone accepts it. Okay, there is gravity. Your Earth kind of has this gravitational force, and everybody knows this. Everybody accepts this. This is there, right? It's not an issue. We accept realities, and we make efforts accordingly. Like, when we have to carry things from one place to other, we use a car, we use vehicles, we use animals to pick up stuff, because we understand there is gravity. Similarly, when we know and we understand the personalities of our husbands, or the husbands understand the personality of their wives, then accept it. This is what his or her personality is, and then we act accordingly. If this thing irritates him or her, then don't do that. Do something else. Find another way of doing things that you can get your thing as well, and without pushing his buttons or her buttons as well, right? And also, with husbands or with wives comes other family as well, right? Whether it is in-laws or children and everything. And then if we accept everything, then it becomes easier for us to deal with those things. And both husband and wife have their own roles, and sometimes one might feel oppressed because the other's not following the deen so much and everything. And both husband and wife have to make each other, like, happy for each other and care for each other and earn their Jannah while remaining within the limits that Allah Ta'ala has told us. And Allah Ta'ala is Aziz and Hakim. What does that mean? That He is Aziz means that He is the one who has all the power. He's almighty. He can do anything, right? And one of the beautiful things about the ayat of the Quran that we find in which Allah Ta'ala tells us His sifat, right? Like here, Azizun Hakim. When we look at the ayah, then Allah Ta'ala tells us the sifat which are related to the topic that is going on. So and a lot of the Mufassir, they give a lot of details related to that. So here by Aziz, the men are being told and scared that this girl that you have this as your wife under your care or everything. Yes, you might be able to get away with things in society, and we all know of a lot of things that men can get away with a lot of things, and sometimes women too. That don't do dhulm on her, don't oppress her, right? And beware of the consequences of disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of pushing the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala has given you some rights, yes, but don't use those rights to oppress another person. Don't use those rights and don't twist the laws of Islam to suit your own oppression or things that you want to do which are not good. And with Hakim, with the quality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is the all wise, we understand that He alone he deserves the right to give laws and govern, because He is the all wise. He knows what we do not know. And with this, women are being given the consolation that don't worry, that even if he has one level extra over you, that like he can go for divorce in this way and you can't and everything. And though, but remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Hakim. He knows what is best for us. Even if we don't like it, of course we don't like it. Of course, who would like it? But that is our test, right? We don't, of course, any place, anybody who is given a little less power than somebody else, then of course nobody's like just between human beings, nobody just like loves it. Okay, I love to be like this, but know that this is best for you. Even women know that this is best for you. It will protect you in the longer run. These laws are made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he has decided these laws in His wisdom, and there is no wisdom which is more than His wisdom, right? And those who sometimes like people in pre-Islamic times, there was a lot of exploitation, but if you look at a lot of Western times, a lot of time now, there's a whole Western theory of gender equality and similarity, and there's a lot of taking away of roles of men and women and everything, and everybody should be able to do whatever, and there should not be a separate role. And why do you say that men have a little more right? And some people even try to reinterpret Islamic family laws according to the Western ideals that they have right now. But subhanallah, just by this word, we understand, just by this quality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we understand that those who are under the illusion that of being wiser and more knowledgeable than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, may Allah ta'ala protect us, that Allah ta'ala has given a law and they can improve upon it and bring about something better than that, which is better for the society or a family and everything. They actually do nothing but destroy and subvert the whole system of family. They by giving anybody unlimited rights, whether it was, and it's human nature when something wrong has been done. A lot of times, people in the effort to correct, and there's no denying that a lot of wrong has been done in human history, especially in the last couple of hundred years, a few hundred years. If we just see back a lot, and even today, if we see a lot of exploitation of women being done, that is true, and that should not be done. That is very true as well. But sometimes, in order to correct it, we go extreme the other way, and we try to give women unlimited rights, and that not to even consider men as important position in their life, and that is not right either. Islam does not teach that. Islam and if you think about it, for example, any organization like a school needs a principal, and one principal, not too many principals. Any government, any state, to function well, they need a head to function well, and that person who has been given the role of leadership or guardianship, whether it's a state or a school or any organization, then that person has to have more responsibilities and rights as well. They have to be given certain kind of anybody who's running anything, they need to be given a certain level of rights which are above the others. Yes, things are done with discussion, but they are they're given slightly more rights. And for men, they have been the primary responsibility of protection of the family, the whole family, responsibility of the whole family, financial as well as protecting them from harm and everything. It has been put on a man, and therefore a slight level of a right has also been given to him a bit more, because how will anybody fulfill any rights if you don't give any responsibilities, if you don't give them a bit of leeway to do those responsibilities as well. They need to have. So when we understand this, the hikmah behind the laws of Allah and how things are supposed to work, rather than how we see a lot of people in the society doing things. May Allah Ta'ala forgive all of us, and may Allah Ta'ala give us the wisdom and ability to follow His commands in the best of manners and remain steadfast on the deen at all times. Right? Then we understand that what Allah Ta'ala wants us to do and act accordingly. Then Allah Ta'ala tells us that the talaq is twice, for two times, two period of times. And again, like we said before, that what is the correct way of giving divorce? That's the correct way of you take a period of time, and you don't need, and it's a matter of jahalat, to of ignorance, to say talaq more than once at one time. Because even if you say it once, talaq will still happen. You don't need to say it three times. But it is a matter of, like, when people say it in their anger, they want to make a point, it's their ego, and they want to make a point to say, you know what, I don't even ever want to take you back and everything. And then they say it three times and everything. Then it, first of all, it is it's very much disliked in Islam to say more than once at a time. And a person should say it once, and talaq will still happen. If there is, you say it once and there is a waiting period of time and everything, and then you can go away and everything. But you have a right only twice. And what used to happen before was, in the times of Jahiliyyah, what a man would do is, a man would say to his wife, there was no limit on the number of talaqs that a person could give. So he would say to his wife that, and there's a hadith to the effect of that Hisham bin Urwa, he narrated from his father, and who narrated from Aisha, that she said that people would such that a man would divorce his wife when he wanted to divorce her, and she remained in idda, and the idda used to be much longer, like a year long, I think. And he would divorce her, and just before the idda was about to be over, he would take her back, and then he would divorce her again later on, and then just before the idda was over, he would take her back again, and he would do this hundreds of times. And the point was that he said that I will neither divorce you nor give you residence ever, and then I'll not even let you marry somebody else. So it was a way of oppression, that what they would do is they would control the woman, as in, like, make her like divorce her, and then I'm not taking care of her needs. I'm not gonna do this, and I'm not going to let you marry somebody else either. I'm going to. So basically, it was a way of holding women captive with him at that time. And what Islam came and did was that, no, divorce is only two times. You only have two chances. You cannot do this unlimited number of times and torture her or oppress her or anything. You can just, and even if you do something, you have to do it. Even if you let her go, you have to leave her, let her go with kindness and with best of behavior. Ihsan is best of something. So you have to do it with the most beautiful and the most beautiful character and the best of behavior. Don't be nasty to her or anything. Even if you're leaving her, she's still a believer. You're a believer and she's a believer. Give her that first. Give her that respect as a believer, and secondly, also give her the respect that she has been your wife. She's been taking care of you. She has maybe born your children even and everything. So even if you're ending your marriage didn't work out, you don't become ill-mannered to each other. You don't you don't behave like this, right? And so what Islam did was, Islam put a limit. Similarly, just like that, people used to have unlimited number of wives. Like, people could have any number of wives, and Islam didn't say that. Islam didn't say that it recommends people to have four wives, but he said you can only have up to four. So it, like, restricted the number to just four, and that too. Obviously, there are many things to be talked about. That another topic. But for a divorce, that a man has only two chances, and when you can do ruju with her, and if that is done and divorce is done, the first time divorce is done, that's okay. You both go your separate ways and everything. Only thing is, by not doing it three times, you're keeping the door open for future as well. And there are hadith to the effect that at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there were people who said it three times, and the Prophet ﷺ was so upset, and he got so angry with this person that while I'm here, you're playing with the laws of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. While I'm present among you, you are you're playing. And he got so angry with this one person who had said talaq thrice to his wife at one go, that one man got up and said, Ya Rasulullah sallam, if you give me permission, then I'll go and kill this guy. Because you are so like the Prophet sallam was so visibly and so much angry with this guy who had said it three times. And um, so there was a person, and there was another incident that Abu al-Sahba, he said to Ibn Abbas, do you know that a divorce by three pronouncements was made at a single time during the time of the Prophet ﷺ and of Umar Bakr, of Umar and Abu Bakr in the early days of and in the early days of Caliphate of Umar? And he said, yes, it was said, and we know from the other instances that the Prophet ﷺ did not like that. And Abu Rukan, another instant, he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said that he had said three times in one go. The Prophet ﷺ said, go and do ruju, because it is one talaq only. It will count as one talaq only. Even if you said it in one sitting, you've said it more than once. First of all, it is and something that you should not have done. But of course, I'm paraphrasing here. The Prophet ﷺ said, yes, do it, go back and do that. And he said, but I have made three pronouncements. I have said it thrice. And the Prophet ﷺ said to him, I have understood that, go and take her back. So as in meaning that even if he said it three times, the point of Allah Ta'ala has given you two chances of everything is to two period of times that have this period of time that there is a cooling of time that when you've said divorce and everything. So don't play and don't make a mockery out of the laws of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, that when He's given you these, and Subhanallah, in today's time we see all these things happen. So how did this notion arise? That at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, what used to happen was a lot of people were misusing that, and they started saying talaq thrice, and they would say this three times at one go and everything, and people were doing this, and Umar radiallahu anhu wanted to stop this thing, and he was like, okay, people aren't understanding and everything, and anybody who said this actually was called and he was whipped. The punishment was given. He was whipped on his back when anybody said this thrice at one go, right? And they were given this punishment, and this but people were still continuing it so much that the Umar said, okay, fine, if you want to play with this, then okay, we will consider a divorce and you cannot marry her again. So it was a law that was passed for a limited period of time to stop people from this malpractice, from to stop people from doing this something that they should not be doing, and as a punishment to stop it, it was given for a certain period of time that and it was decided with the consensus of the Sahabas that okay, it was not to change the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but to give a punishment to people and to stop them from doing something that they should not have been doing. And because of that, later on now we have some differences of opinion that when a person says talaq one time or three times, is it count as one talaq or does it count as three talaq, or what is it? So there's a big difference of opinion in different scholars, and our religion allows for a difference of opinion, alhamdulillah. So for example, Imam Abu Hanifa, he maintains that three pronunciations at one time is three talaq. That is one position. But there are other positions, and in some countries, it is a legal position that if anybody says it in three times in one go, it will count as only one talaq, right? So again, like we said before, we don't become people of fiqh just by learning general guidelines. We need to consult. If anybody is in that situation, then they need to consult somebody who is a faqih, who knows fiqh in much more detail and can advise according to a person's particular situation. So individual situations which are complicated or which are not very straightforward should always be referred to somebody much more knowledgeable. But these are for us to understand the purpose of Islam and everything, right? And so what is talaq? Talaq basically is a technical term in Sharia meaning freeing the wife from the contract of nikah. And who does the contract of nikah? The knot of nikah is in the hands of man, because he sends the proposal and he accepts it and everything, whatever. He's the one who holds that nikah, so he has a right to also free the woman from that as well, right? And so this thing is that the purpose is of this cooling period and this time of iddat and everything. The purpose is to minimize talaq in the society, because if we minimize people who are in a friction, who are fighting, and we give them time to cool off. A lot of people will cool off and come back. A lot of people who have goodness in this and they can work it out, they will actually start to work it out, right? And but again, we have to realize that shaitan loves to create a problem with between husband and wife, right? And we know from another hadith that every day shaitan gets his like minions. They come and they come and they tell him whatever they've done today, that I made somebody steal and I made somebody do this and I made somebody do this, and he says, yeah, you've done okay, nothing, no big deal and everything. But when a person comes and says, today, you know what I did, I created a friction and a fight between a husband and a wife, or I get a man and wife to be separated from each other, then he makes that person sit on his throne and said, this person has done something worthwhile, and look, all of you, like this is such a big deal, because it not just impacts the person, the two people, but it impacts the coming generations as well. When a husband and wife are have a friction, or they don't lead a normal, healthy life, then it impacts the children in many ways, in financial ways, in emotional ways, in ways that they deal with things in their own life and everything. It has far-reaching impact, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala knows us and our physical needs and our social needs, our emotional needs, all kinds of needs, right? So another thing is that if a woman needs to take a khula, she wants to take a khula, then she can go and ask for a khula as well. And again, a woman, again, we learn from other hadith that women have a right to take khula, but she should not use it, again, misuse it. Just like a man should not misuse his right, a woman should not misuse her right. So a woman, there's a hadith to the effect that a woman will not even get the fragrance of paradise who seeks khula from her husband without any harm or any cause, any reason. If she didn't need to take a khula and there was no harm done and it was a good husband and he was everything, and she takes a khula for no valid reason, then then she will not even get the fragrance of paradise, let alone getting to paradise and everything, right? And so the thing to take care of in any situation is the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when there is a khula, then so there's an incident that is reported at the time of that Abdullah ibn Ubay's sister, Jamila bint Ubay. She was married to Thabit bin Qais bin Shammas, and she did not want to stay with him anymore and wanted a khula from him. And she came to the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ asked her if she would be willing to return the garden that she had received. Basically, Thabit ibn Qais, he had given her a garden as a gift, and she said yes, I'm willing to give that, and she gave it back. She said yes, and they got divorced, right? And she had a khula, so that is 1 month, because obviously a woman does not. It is much more harder for a woman to go and ask and everything. So of course. A woman has already made up her mind. She wouldn't just, and that's why the iddat is less, because she has made up her mind that she doesn't want to stay with that man. And a woman usually will think about ending her marriage after a long period of contemplation, or some real big reasons and everything. She would try her best to, usually speaking, to keep the marriage and everything, and not to end it, right? And again, we learned about the story of Zainab bin Jahash and Sayyid bin Thabit anhu. And also we learn of a story of Barira. Barira was married to a slave called Mughith, and she wanted separation from Mughith, but Mughith loved her a lot. And and he was like, she said she separated from him and everything, and he used to cry. He used to literally follow her crying that please take me back, and he loved her so much. And Prophet ﷺ saw the condition of Mughith, and he called Barira and he asked her if she could adjust and she could live with Mughith and take her back and everything. And she asked, and what she did, she asked the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah ﷺ, is this your order or is this your advice? And the Prophet ﷺ said, this is my advice. And then she said, no, then I'm going to leave him anyway. Right? So, subhanAllah, at the time of the how the Sahabas understood and acted upon the things of marriage and divorce is very different than how we look at how a lot of cultural practices are made and everything. And another thing is, after the third, if somebody has had three talaq and everything, and that's another way of exploitation that we learned from, we see, is the concept of halala. And may Allah Ta'ala protect us, and may Allah Ta'ala give us better understanding. Like, for example, a lot of people, what they do now is that another way that women is oppressed is, first she's had a divorce 3 times or whatever it's done, and then they make her go through a marriage which is a fake marriage, or basically they make her go to another person for a day or 2 days or a month or whatever, which is marriage is already decided that they're going to get divorced so that she can marry to her first husband again. And that is, subhanAllah, that is not what Allah Ta'ala teaches us. The point is that when two people have had a divorce and it has been done 3 times, now you've lost your chances and everything. It's all done now. And she now you cannot get her back unless she marries somebody else. And the purpose of that marriage is a proper marriage. The purpose of that marriage is not divorce. The purpose of marriage is to live together and to be together as best as possible. And when she marries somebody else and she starts living with somebody else, she sees that, you know what, actually my first husband was a bit better, and I should change my behavior in this way and that way and everything. And she realizes some things and everything. And this second husband also divorces her for no other reason out of but genuine natural way. It wasn't pre-planned or anything. Then she is free to marry her previous husband again. It is not something that can be pre-planned, or halala is not the name of halala cannot be used to basically enforce zina upon other people. May Allah Ta'ala forgive us and may Allah Ta'ala protect us. Inshallah, the ayat of talaq will continue, and we will learn a little bit more in the next 2 more weeks, inshallah. But we'll stop here for now. And may Allah Ta'ala give us better understanding. May Allah Ta'ala help us to be of those people who understand the rights that the husbands have upon their wives and the wives have upon their husbands. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people who are conscious of the rights and responsibilities that we have for each other, who fulfill the rights and responsibilities to the best of our abilities, and who are nice and kind, who understand that the best of people are those who are best to their families. And we understand that we are human beings. There are times that we will be irritated with each other. There are times that we will be unfair to each other. There are times when people will be unfair to us, including our spouses and including our parents and our siblings and our children. And there are times that we will be unfair to them. But then the beauty of Islam is that it's a practical religion. It is not a religion that is idealistic or utopic, that we just expect things to be rosy and perfect all the time. Just like, one of our teachers says that when you eat food, you don't eat a 6-course meal every time. Some days you have a 6-course meal. And when you go to a party or something, some days you quickly grab a bite of sandwich and carry on. Some day you're not able to eat as well, and you carry on. You have different things, different days, right? So some days are good, some days are not so good. So may Allah Ta'ala help us to be of those people who understand that, who recognize that, and who are able to put effort into our relationships so that they last. And if, God forbid, any of us has to go through things which are any kind of separation for any relationship, we still understand that we are still required to do even those things within the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the way that Allah Ta'ala has taught us to do it, and in keeping the rights of other people. May Allah Ta'ala accept our coming together, and may Allah Ta'ala make it a means of goodness and khair and rahmah and His afiyah and His barakah for all of us. And may Allah Ta'ala protect us from misguiding others or being misguided by others. And just like Allah Ta'ala has united us as sisters in Islam in this world, may Allah Ta'ala reunite us as sisters in Islam under the shade of His throne on the Day of Judgment, when there will be no shade except His. And then once again in Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen ya Arhamar Rahimin. Subhanaka Allahumma ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.